Now, when we got to Singapore, that is like a city state, a country of its own, really. Singapore is. It's. I never knew any of this. I learned an awful lot. You learn a lot by travel. Uh, there they call it Singapura, which means Tiger City. Uh, and let's see. Oh, when we learned about Singapore, there was the old city and the new city. Now, the new city was uh, made up of mostly young people. I wrote down here half of the population will be below 20. A third of the population are below 30. Only 6% were over 60. Now, this, of course, was in 1978. We're going back. But you see, this Singapore was really a new city, really, at that time. And we learned a lot about this city. While we're in Singapore, one of the first things they did, they had us go to this temple, this Sri Maraman, I don't know how to pronounce it. This temple took us to a temple. And it was right there at the Singapore River. Now, they told us about the men there. The men there could have 4 wives. Women, 1 husband. How about that? And we had to take a cable car up to Tentassery Island. At this new Singapore, the men would have to serve 2.5 years in the army, or whatever there was called. And the first 3 months of this, they couldn't go home at all. It was weird. Well, here we are now, we're in Singapore, and they're going to show us something about Singapore. They took us to a gem factory. Very interesting. We could see the difference between the old and the new Singapore. We're now in the new Singapore, the gem factory, a batik factory. They took us to botanical gardens where orchids were the main product, I should say. And the orchids they grew in chunks of charcoal. That's what I wrote here. We must have seen it. I like this next sentence I have down here. I put, must stop eating. Just had a beer for lunch. Now, this is the first place we ever saw when they're working on buildings. The scaffolding is all bamboo. Now, bamboo is a very light wood, you know. Yeah, I couldn't imagine that, but that's what they did. Oh, we went to a batik factory, and then a war memorial, the Kranji War Memorial. Then they took us to the Sultan Mosque. This is the first time I had ever been in a mosque. In order to be able to go in, we had to take our shoes off and leave them on the steps of the mosque. We couldn't have our shoes on. And we heard the call to prayer and all from it was very interesting how they called people to come into the mosque doing it. Then Harold's suitcase arrived just in time to dress for dinner. And we went to a Malaysian dinner and entertainment at the pool. And I put down odd, spicy food. After breakfast at the hotel, we went for a trishaw ride, which is it's a bicycle where a man does the pedaling, and there's like a seat in back of him, enough for 2 people. And he took you all over. He did all the pedaling for 3 people. No pedals for the people in the back. And it was funny. We went on this, and about halfway through, I felt sorry for the man. And I said, "Why don't we get off and walk for a while?" I said, "He's doing an awful lot of work, but they work so hard, these Oriental men. He would work so hard." So we walked back, and we found out our flight that we were going to Bangkok was delayed for over an hour. So then we had to go back to our hotel, and we got through customs very quickly. Oh, this was interesting. We were taken to a Thai dinner now, Thai from Taiwan. uh, that this restaurant. When we got to the restaurant, instead of seeing tables and chairs and all this, we couldn't understand what it was. What this restaurant was? We would sit on the floor, uh, but the table was down in a hole like in front of us. With the table was there. Well, the food would come, and we were sitting on the floor. The table was up to, and that's how we ate. This is I never went to a restaurant like that. That was really different. Uh, it was fun. Anyway, it was good. Yeah. Uh, but you see, I guess the kitchens and all were down at the table, with the level of the table. That was down like a half a floor down, I guess. And we were sitting up, but we were sitting on the floor of where we were, and here the table was down, but it was up to us. That was really different. Oh, each person's food was a series of bowls, little bowls, all different. Each little bowl had a different food on it, but everybody got a whole lot of these little bowls on this table for us, served from separate round tray tables. There was soup and rice noodle, scallions, sprouts, dessert, and all the different foods, each one a small amount in a bowl of its own, and we each got all these little bowls. Oh, and then after we had finished eating dinner, then they had a program of music and dance, and it was all classical Thai style music. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. And then that next day we were in Bangkok.